Hello, everyone. Good morning, evening, night, whatever it is, wherever you are around the world. Um, Hi, Richard. Today I get a great pleasure of introducing Teresa. So many of you will know Teresa, and trying to think of how to introduce Teresa. She wears a lot of hats, I've decided. So works at works at the University of Waikato. Works with HRDNZ, Middle Partner in New Zealand. Um, Teresa is also a particularly helpful Moodler at Moodle.org. And obviously, Teresa, you would know, has also been one of the, well, driving force behind the iMoot team this year as well. So it's very much a great pleasure to introduce Teresa. And aside from all that, she knows a lot about Moodle, and it's always great to hear her talks. So Teresa, thank you for giving up even more of your time today, and I'll hand it over to you.
Thanks very much, Shane. Hi, everyone. I hope you can hear me okay. I was in a bit of a dilemma this morning because I was actually on duty to be introducing people. So Shane and I were on duty, and Gareth was on, and I was on, and so we made Shane introduce both of us. So he's gone off now to introduce Gareth's session. So that's funny. So thank you for coming, and I'd like you to write in the chat what you're hoping to get out of this session, and sort of who you are and where you're from, and what you do at the moment, and what you're hoping to get out of this session. That would be really great for me. I thought about doing a presentation on the way that my approach to training changed sort of over the years. So that's what today's about. I've been Moodling for about 10 years. So before working at the University of Waikato, I worked at a local polytech or TAFE, and so I was doing the same role. So I'm a Moodle administrator, e-learning systems administrator is my official title, and a Moodle trainer, and the person who deals with all the tricky questions. I'm usually the person that, because all of our queries go to the help desk, but they come to me when they can't help. So I'm the Moodle fixer, and so I have been doing it for many years, and I've been loving Moodle the whole time, and always looking at what's coming up next. So always preparing myself for what's coming up, and getting super excited to release great new features and stuff to our staff. So so when I started looking at sort of the decisions and the way that I had been doing training over the years, I thought, oh yeah, that's actually quite good to sort of think about and contemplate. And it sort of started from there, and I did some stats. So I got bogged down with some stats, but we'll see some pretty pictures soon. So a little bit of background about my work at the University of Waikato. We started in 2007, so prior to that, as I mentioned, I worked at the local TAFE or Polytech, and but in 2007, the university moved from an in-house system called Class Forum to Moodle. So I joined the team. There were 3 of us at the time, and basically that's all we did. We were a centre that was started as part of the Moodle migration project, and so there were 3 of us. There was an e-learning designer, there was myself, the administrator, and there was an e-learning technologist whose job it was to look at new tools that were coming up. And so we had a project, as I mentioned. We also had some 4 casual staff members employed to help staff transition from the old system to the new system. So they were what I call hand holders. We had initial workshops we had a pilot, and staff were transitioned over to this new fandangled Moodle system. And during 2007, we had extra workshops, and the casual staff that we had were able to go out to people's offices and actually sit down with them and step them through, or do it for them actually. Some of them were doing the actual work for the lecturer while the lecturer just sat there and watched. And I call that hand-holding. I'm not a big fan of hand-holding, but nevertheless. So between that time and now, you can see that we got a few more staff on board, but we also got Turnitin was introduced. So we had a plagiarism project, and so we had Turnitin introduced in 2009, and that of course had to be integrated with our Moodle. Well, it didn't have to be, but it was the best way to do it. So we used Dan Marston's Turnitin plugin for that, and then we introduced lecture capture system. So there was a big thing at the time about iTunes U and universities publishing material to iTunes U. So it was decided that the university would do this, and of course it was a technology to do with learning, so it came to us. Our centre is in charge of Panopto, which is our lecture capture system, and we also got another staff member on board, so another e-learning designer, and to help with the Panopto iTunes U, we seconded one of our staff members from our professional development unit over in HR. And then in 2010, we got another e-learning designer, because we got Moodle in 2007, but we still really hadn't done a lot of e-learning support in terms of design. So we were running, I was running my workshops, which is what I'm going to be talking about, but we were also running e-learning workshops and talking about design. So, but we weren't really spending time helping people design their courses, we were just telling them how to do it. But Google Apps was introduced in 2010 as well. So Tracy, our point 3, became a point 4, and then in 2011 she's became full-time with us. So around this time we had an upgrade to Moodle 2.0, because we had 1.9 from that up until that point. In actual fact, I think we were one of the first people to use 1.9 in production, because we worked with a Moodle partner, and we're using it just before it actually was released. So, but we all had all the faith in the world. Not something we would do today, but nevertheless. So 2011 saw a project of us upgrading all of our content to 2.0. As people may know, it was a big jump. The theme needed changing, and a lot of our add-ons needed checking and rewriting. And this was also about the time that the Faculty of Education, which is our biggest Moodle user in the university, stopped Moodle support to go and work on their own project for something else. So the university has a central IT help desk, and then education has a help desk, and management has a help desk, and then other schools and faculties have, the odd desktop support person. But the Faculty of Education's help desk stopped their Moodle support, and they were inclined, because it was a reasonable size help desk for one faculty, they were inclined to do a bit of hand-holding. So, so at the same time that we were managing this upgrade project, we were also given a whole lot more support calls as well. And you can see in the last year or so, we've worked on ePortfolio and web conferencing project. I introduced the Moodle Bytes fully to my staff, Moodle Bytes licensed material to my staff in 2013. I'll talk about how I used it a bit for this upgrade as well. And this year we had Adobe Connect introduced. So over this over this period of years, you can see that we've doubled in staff, but in actual fact, we're still doing the same Moodle work we were doing back then, and we've got all these other services and systems to look after as well. So time's becoming a little bit precious to us. Now, and I want to talk about the workshops and the training that I've been doing during this session. So I just need to sort of say a little bit about the influences, of course. Now, the Moodle sessions are voluntary. We don't have a system that filters new staff when they start with us, even though I would like that. Our HR department invites new staff to a staff induction, which the Waikato Centre for E-Learning goes along to and says, this is what we do, this is who we are. But it's not compulsory that they go to it. It's just highly recommended. So they get a little bit of information if they go to that. So we don't really have a way, apart from colleagues with the new person and managers, and we're trying to push managers to encourage their staff to do PD for the systems that they need to. But we don't have a compulsory checkbox. You must do this. If you are going to have anything to do with Moodle, you must do this. So the workshop attendance is voluntary. And new staff learn about it when they learn about it. We push information out about our sessions in various official communications, but of course they'll only get that if they read it. And I know staff don't read these things. So the other thing is, of course, as staff capability increases, then they're not likely to turn up to the workshops. And as they become more confident, then of course we're not expecting them to turn up because they're actually capable and agile enough to do it themselves. And this is something that we're actually encouraging at the university. We are working on staff and student digital literacy. So we've been having a couple of years now, we've had a staff digital literacy focus. So we are actually encouraging our staff to become more flexible and find the answers. Don't be afraid to Google something. And just because you can do it in one system, try and transfer those skills over to another system. And so, instead of just giving people step by step, click this, choose that, save the changes, we'd like people to actually have a look and think about what they're doing so that they can take those skills and actually run with it themselves. And of course, the demands on our time with all these new systems are increasing. So this will answer Richard's question about how many staff we have. And interestingly enough, I got the calculator out and started going a little bit crazy with stats, as you'll soon see. So there are 6 whistle staff members and 1,500 full-time equivalent staff. So that's not actual people, that's full-time equivalents. Now, I worked out that that's 153 staff members per whistle team member. So here's me with my magic hat on. And here are the 153 staff that I support. Unfortunately, I had to shrink it because there were a lot of them. But I've kind of taken the ratio with the academic general staff and the male-female, which is in there. So working that out, based on our 37.5 hours a week and holidays and 46 weeks working a year, that's 7 hours a day that each of our 153 staff members get a year. So that's just a number. That's not really actually what happens. But if we did support all day and nothing else, no value added, no project work, no staff meetings, no planning, no nothing else, all we did was support, we would be able to see each of our 153 staff members for 7 hours each year. So we had a bit of a giggle at that actually in the office, and it was like, 7 hours, your time's up, see you next year. So I don't think that would go down well. Maureen, you're hand holding 15 with the magic hat on. to be honest, you know, I'll talk more about that. I don't like hand holding. I like people to learn and become capable. Rightio. So, here are my workshop statistics that I figured out. So while I was on this hours a year thing, I worked out how many hours I sat in workshops every year. So I'm not counting 2007 because that was kind of the start one. So in 2008, in 2007 there were workshops every month for people. So 2008 I scheduled workshops every month, and you can see it's probably not very clear. How do I make this bigger? Do this. Aha. Okay. 2008. There's a couple of months here, so March and October and December, where there are no workshops. Well, they were scheduled. I just pulled the plug on them. So what I was doing here is I was scheduling monthly workshops for people to come along and learn about Moodle. Now, I spent 129 hours that year doing workshops, but later you'll see that it actually made sense because people were learning, and it was a new system. So in 2009, the number dropped a bit, but it was still quite high. What I had done here was I did lots of workshops in February, so this is just before our semester starts. Then I did some during our break in April, and there was enough demand to do some more in May. And June, because July is the start of our B semester, so these were people that were trying to get to grips with it before the B semester. And then I did a couple more in the break, and at the end, when people were supposedly not teaching, for the summer school staff, sorry. And that kind of pattern sort of stayed with us for a while there. So in 2010, 2011, 2012, the pattern was start of each semester and then some in the semester breaks. Now 2011 was special because we had a Moodle 2 upgrade. So this is the time that I started introducing Moodle Bytes material into my existing documentation. So for my workshops, I also had a Moodle course that went with every workshop, with information, links to Moodle docs and videos and some stuff that I had done, and practice activities, so that when I was training them in the workshop, they were actually participating as a student would. But of course, with the 2.0 upgrade, there were lots of things that needed changing. So I had been talking to Stuart Meelaw at HRDNZ, who I now work with, but at the time I didn't. And we talked about how Moodle Bytes material could help me. So instead of me actually spending a lot of my time redeveloping my training material, I actually just purchased the licensed version of Moodle Bytes for teachers, and then I used that material in conjunction, expanding my stuff, so that was really good. And so in 2012, the workshops kind of started settling down a bit. And then when I go to 2013, I started getting all hard and going, right, because there's not much of me, I can't afford to spend all this time on workshops, and because about this time people were actually starting to sort of drop off the numbers. So I didn't schedule as many of them. And of course I was also working on the Moodle 2.5 project to upgrade our system. So you can see that I had just before A semester, just before B, some in the mid-semester break, and then lots to prepare people for the Moodle 2 upgrade. So these were upskill sessions. And this year, this is the plan, just before A semester, just before B, and then during the breaks, 30-minute appointment slots. So let's have a closer look at who was turning up. Oh no, let's have a look at what the structure was. So this is what my structure was. Basically, they were 2-hour workshops. except for 4, which was only a 1-hour workshop. But 2-hour workshops with, you know, quite a lot in each one, to be honest. So if you were only adding resources and discussion forums, then you'd only need to come to these first 2. But if you were also doing assessments and grading, you'd come to this 3rd one. And then not many people were coming to groups and group ends, because obviously that's only relevant if you actually need to split students up into groups. Or at the time, restrict access to resources, because prior to 2 point something, you couldn't actually restrict access based on groups. Actually, is that 2.6? Anyway, so this is a bit of an expanded version of the workshops for those that are interested in the. This is a condensed version of the lesson plan. So the people that were turning up, now these were individuals. And of course, I have a calculator out at this stage, remember, so I worked out how much time I was spending with each individual. So, in 2008, when I spent a lot of time in sessions, I actually had a lot of people attending as well, which makes sense because it was a new tool and people were learning it. So it worked out to be 43 minutes per person, which, that's doable. In 2009, it ended up being half an hour per person. So I had less workshops, but, an equivalent sort of a number of people. And of course, as people were becoming more proficient, they were dropping out. Of course, when new staff were coming along, then they were coming to sessions as well. But I also know that there were some staff who were continually coming along every year. So, we've got staff that come along to a session and then they'll teach for that semester, and then they'll have the second semester off doing research or whatever, and then they'll come back the next year and they'll go, oh, I've forgotten it all, I need to learn again, or I need a refresher, or the system's changed, you've changed how it looks. So you can sort of see the trend here. But in 2011, I was actually up to spending nearly an hour and 3/4 with each person during, working out how many hours on the workshop and how many people were turning up. Now, this is the year that we had our Moodle 2 upgrade. So, I spent more time in sessions because I was scheduling more to make sure people were upskilled and capable, but I still only had 39 people in all of the sessions. So an hour and 3/4 per person just wasn't a good use of my time. And let's sort of go down a bit, and you can see that I ended up going down to about 41 minutes in 2013, and this year I'm just going to guess that we're going to have about 40 people, so it's going to be about 20 minutes. I can do that. So I just want to talk about Moodle Bytes a little bit more, because I think this helped with my sort of my plan of getting people to actually be able to help themselves. So remember that in October we upgraded to Moodle 2, so we had October 2011. So we'd had 4 years of Moodle 1.9, and of course Moodle 2 was a bit of a change. And because I was working on the project to make sure everything was upgraded, we've got quite a few custom scripts to create courses and users and enrollments, etc. The ability to just pick up and run with existing documentation was fantastic, because I don't know how much time I spent on all of my prior documentation, because to be honest, it kind of morphed over time, but I really shudder to think. I haven't got those stats, my calculator couldn't do that one, but being able to just pick up and run with existing documentation was fantastic. I did spend a bit of time, however, customizing it, not so much the information, but just the order of it, because I rearranged it to suit the sessions that I had already scheduled, and I also needed to take out some stuff that wasn't relevant to the university, and I needed to add things that were university specific. So, for example, creating courses, there's no point having that because our staff don't create courses. They're created automatically. Things like backup restore, things like adding students because that's all done automatically. And then we've got a couple of third-party modules, so with particularly the dialogue module, which is our main one-to-one communication tool. It's actually one that the university maintains. That was needed to be added because obviously the Moodle just covers the core material. So so this is actually what it looks like now. This is our current site, but you can see that I've split it into sort of 6 different courses. So the first one is the basics and getting started, and then the second one is a basic Moodle course, which is what I've got in there is resources, communication, and assessment. So just the forum, the dialogue, and assignments. Because to be honest, that's what most of our staff want. They want to know how to upload their resources, their readings, and their PowerPoints. They want to know how to add a forum or manage a forum, and they want to know how to get the students to upload into Moodle an assignment, and then they want to know how the assignment works. So then the next one is course management, which covers groups and all sorts of management admin things of your course. And then assessment, so this is where I've put in Turnitin information as well, because we've got that at the university. And then more communication and student activities, and then other, all the other activities that didn't fit elsewhere. So I didn't want to have too many courses, but I did need to sort of chunk them so that people could easily find, the material that they wanted. And so staff are added to, they used to be added by a file upload, and I used to maintain that list sort of, once every other month or whatever, and it was based on the people who had attended my training session, because to be honest, the courses were to complement the training sessions, and then I would add people if they needed extra help. But of course, with the Moodle Bytes licensed, I'm able to add all of our university staff to it. However, I just add the people that are Moodle teachers, so that's our full-time staff members. And so the people that are teaching in Moodle get access to the Moodle Bytes material, and it's in their course listing. So so there's no excuses that they can't find it. So look, I've still got the calculator going. We had a new job logging system introduced in 2010, late 2010, and it's actually pretty good because it meant that I could get all these statistics out on how many jobs we had. So you can see the trend of jobs, Moodle jobs per month. It went up in 2012, but that, remember, was just after our Moodle 2 upgrade, and it was also the time that the Faculty of Education stopped supporting our staff. So so while it sort of the number rose per month here, 217 per month, that's crazy, isn't it? Luckily, I'm not the only one that's doing this, so this is the help desk as well as myself and my colleagues. In 2013, this is when we upgraded our Moodle Bytes material. No, sorry. Why have I got this in the wrong spot? I've got this in the wrong spot. Never mind, sorry. I upgraded my Moodle Bytes material again here in oh. Now I'm confusing myself. No, I'm not. I redid my courses, that's right. So instead of my existing documentation that I had created up until 2011, I actually took away my old material and fully implemented the Moodle Bytes stuff. So remember when I first got Moodle Bytes in, I had Moodle Bytes material in amongst my existing documentation. So in 2013, I actually just took the new Moodle Bytes version and scrapped all my old stuff and got the new 2.5 version. I've got the wrong headings there, sorry about that. And you can see that the jobs per month so far, although we're only sort of partway through 2014, has shrunk significantly. And I think that has a lot to do with the service desk also understanding more about the documentation that I've got online and being able to help people through that documentation, and then people know that it's there next time they have a query. So I think the repeat queries aren't really coming through. So if we put those two sort of stack things together, it was about 2012, I suppose. I was going, oh man, people aren't coming, people aren't needing these workshops anymore. What am I going to do? How am I going to do this? And people are always going, oh, I'm too busy to come along to an hour session and ta-da-di-da. So I decided to drop to 30-minute specific workshops. And so I've just been doing that this year, and I still have my 1 hour intro for new users, because I think it's really important that new users that coming into teach with Moodle know enough that they can go away and actually have a play and manage on their own. So they need to know how to get in, they need to know how to edit their profile and what the profile looks like for others. They need to be familiar with the editing icons and how to add sections to their course, remove sections. These things are all very easy now. They need to be able to add resources, have a simple discussion. Actually no, discussion's not in there, but resources for starters. They need to be able to have an intro, welcome their students. So, and that's letting them become familiar with the editor, which of course is used throughout the whole of Moodle. And then typically those people will continue on to the communication and assessment 30-minute sessions, but that 1 hour session is the one that I say to people, if you don't come to anything else, come to that one, and then you should be fine from there. So the 30-minute specific workshops basically have focus on different things. So, and I'm only going to run them if people sign up for them, because I'm not going to go sit there. We make our users sign up. And to be honest, I also only run a workshop if there's more than 2 people. So I don't go and sit with 2 people. Although for 30 minutes, that would only be 15 minutes each. So maybe I should rethink that. But anyhow. So, people will just come along to the thing that they want. And then during the mid-semester breaks, I've got the 2 Moodle Ask Me sessions. And what I do there is we use Google Apps at the university. And so in my calendar, I've just created appointment slots. And so staff basically just choose an appointment slot that fits them, and then they tell us what they would like to learn more about. So if they couldn't make one of these other sessions, or or they've got a tricky thing that they want to introduce, storytelling or blogging or something like that, then they'll just book one of these sessions if they haven't already talked to one of us before. Because to be honest, we are available outside of the workshops. It's just that this makes it sort of a little bit more manageable in terms of our time. Which leads me on to the next slide, which is, what this kind of means for us. So for starters, it means I'm not in workshops for so many hours, but it also helps the help desk direct staff to information that's available to them 24/7. They know that it's there. They can see it in their lists. They, I have people that say, look, I tried to find this, but I wasn't looking in the right place. I can't find it. Tell me where to find it. So instead of telling me the answer, they're actually asking where they can find the answer, which is fantastic, because that's our focus at the university with digital literacy, is actually getting our staff agile and capable with technology, and to the point where they're not frightened, and they've got the confidence to go and have a look. The scheduler plugin may work for others, but our booking system is also tied in with all other workshops that we offer at the university, and not all of our staff use Moodle, so it's hard for me to force a Moodle process on the entire university. But I think somebody was talking to me about the scheduler, or it may have been another appointment module in Moodle that works really well for them for staff to be able to book sessions. So that's really useful. But having these shorter sessions lets staff come to training that's specific to what they actually want, rather than having to sit through all of assessments. So, for example, assessment I had, assignments, quizzes, the grade book, turn it in. So, obviously they're going to need the grade book, so they'll come to that. But if they're not confident enough to create and work with a quiz yet, then they don't want to sit there and watch me show others, or talk about it for others. And it lets us work on value added and other projects. So the Whistle staff, aren't bogged down with all of these. So that's sort of my story on how I've moved my my staff from being expecting people to come and sit with them. And to be honest, I don't have people really ask me that anymore. I don't know if that's because they're frightened to ask the question, but we still have, we have 3 e-learning designers. So for staff that are new to learning online, they can go and help them with e-learning design for their course and putting things online effectively. My sessions really are the technical how-tos, and to be honest, we don't want our staff to be at a point where they need me standing over their shoulder telling them what button to click. Okay, the focus for us is digital literacy, and as I say, our staff being agile and able to find the answers. So, the documentation that we've now got available to them lets them do that, and they know that they can. So I'm going to stop there, and if anybody's got any further questions, just pop them in the chat, or feel free to unmute your mic and let us know. Hi, Jeremy. Yes, so when you purchase the Moodle Bytes material, or licensed Moodle Bytes, you get given access to a special category on the moodlebytes.com site, and then there's another course in there that tells you the upgrades. So when you have a new version, then there's a special course in there that you can go to see what's updated. And so initially you get access to all of the courses to just zip back up and restore onto your site. And then when there's upgrades, you can just back up and restore just that individual activity that's had a change, or group of activities that have had a change. They also give you a nice little breakdown of how you can change it and work with it as well. Yeah, they do. Great, I think. You know, I mean, we all know how long it takes to create documentation, and you know, this great stuff's already there. So, you know, it made commercial sense to us. To be honest, Maureen, I can't remember off the top of my head. It's not something that I deal with anymore. I sort of worked with sorting it out initially, but it's what you could probably do is have a look on the website. There'll be a contact there. I know Stuart Milor's actually in the room. He looks after that, but you know, I'm sure Stuart can get in touch with you. Or if you get in touch with Stuart, perhaps create a private chat there and share emails. I'm sure he can follow up with you.
Hey Teresa, Shane again. So I'll jump in while people are asking questions, and just to say thank you for that presentation and sharing what's happening at the university.
Thanks, Shane. Yeah, so any other questions people have got, just type them in the chat or unmute your microphone. I'll hang about for a little bit, but otherwise there's also a forum in the course that belongs to this um, session. So let me copy and paste that into the chat for you. So if you think of anything afterwards, then you can post in there, and a copy of my slides is in there. I must fix that one where I've got my Moodle white stuff. It made complete sense when I looked at it. Maybe it still makes sense. I'm just not looking at it sensibly now. That's okay, Stuart. They know you're a HRD person. You would be the person to contact. Please do that outside my session. How's that? I think the iMoot site will be available for some time. Let me just check that in the background. What do my e-learning designers work on? To be honest, at the university, we don't develop content. That's the lecturer's job. Our e-learning designers help staff become more aware of how to put stuff online effectively and efficiently. We don't do any authoring at all. So really, they just work with people to help them with their course design, and they also run sort of workshops and help people with research and things like that as well. Shane, so the Turnitin that we've got is integrated with Moodle, but we're using Dan Marsden's plugin, which won't be maintained for much longer. And also, I'm not sure how many people here are using Turnitin, but they've introduced a new Turnitin Direct plugin from Moodle, which means that you have to use a different assignment type. And the beauty about Dan's Turnitin plugin is that it's just an extension. It's just a plagiarism extension, and you can use it on the existing assignment. So it fits really well at the moment, but I'm not sure about the future of that for us. Adobe Connect works really well with Moodle as well. We had a web conferencing project in which we had Adobe Connect and Big Blue Button and other options, and the powers that be chose Adobe Connect, even though we all would have preferred Big Blue Button, but unfortunately people wanted breakout rooms and they wanted this and polls and things. So for now, that's what suits us, and it actually works. The plugin works quite well. It creates the rooms and sets up all the relevant permissions, and the same with Panopto, which we've also got integrated with our Moodle site. Jeremy, making templates. Well, to be honest, we've talked about various ways we can sort of work with staff, with quality checks and all sorts of things, but it gets really awkward when our staff are so used to having full control over what they do and how they do it. So it's a work in progress. I do know that there's a tertiary institute here in New Zealand that provide course templates. So, our courses are created automatically, but they're blank. And I know this other institute has an area where, similar to, I don't know, if those that were a presenter at iMoot had a template where it said, presenter details, edit this bit. So, put your course outline here, make sure you have your staff bio here, and do this and do that and do this. But yeah, our course shells are blank, and what tends to happen is that staff import what they did last year, which is at that time we are asking people to reflect on what went well and what didn't go well. But of course, they have full control. The question of how long the forums will be available, I would suggest the answer that came back was years, but but he's double checking. So yeah, ages. Have we tried getting into last year's? I haven't. But I'm subscribed to the forum, so if you post something in there, I'll get it. Otherwise, I'm pretty easy to get hold of. You can Google me to find me. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Sally. Yeah, Paula, I think we all struggle, don't we? And I think we always have the people who, when you see them sign up to the workshop, you go, oh no, not again. I've told you 3 times. Or is that just me? 7 times, yeah. Okay. So last year's iMoot site's still available. So there you go. We can still do stuff on our sites and our courses for a while. Yeah, Jeremy, I think you're right. There are staff, and I talk to staff who teach, and then they'll go for a year sabbatical, and then they'll come back and they'll go, do you know, I know I have to do something around here, but I'm not entirely sure where that setting is or how to do that. And you have to work with that. So yeah, especially when we keep upgrading our Moodle site and changing stuff, making it better. Okay, so I'm gonna head off, folks. So thanks again. Remember that the forum is there for any other questions that you've got elsewhere. Thanks.